We're here to solve a mystery.
Hello name nerds, my name is Patrick and welcome to Fun with First Names, where each week we look into the meaning, origin and some extra fun facts behind one specific first name. And this week we're looking into the first name of Daphne. But before we begin, I want to say a huge thank you to everyone who's become a patron in the most recent weeks. I want to say a huge thank you to one, Laura Veronica Grunice. I think you're a returning patron. Thank you for joining again. And one, Alexis Geddes. You might be returning or you might be new. I can't remember. So a lot of names. I deal with a lot of names without notice. But thank you guys both so much for becoming patrons. Patreon is the single best way to help support Name Explain. And I'm depending on Patreon now more than ever during this whole economic crisis. YouTube pays in dollars, and my country, the pound, decided to ruin its economy. So it makes what I earn worth even less because I live in a dumb country full of silly people in power anyway. So I'm depending more on Patreon now more than ever now, what I'm trying to say. So if you do really enjoy Name Explain, want to help support the channel and have a say in what Name Get Explained, because you get loads of extra goodies, ad-free video, exclusive content, all that kind of good stuff, patreon.com/Name Explain. There'll be a link down below. $1 a month is all it takes. Do it if you want to. Thank you if you do, and don't worry if you don't, just still continue enjoying watching these videos. Times are tough right now, but we'll manage. Anyway, on with today's name of Daphne. Now, Daphne is a bit of a strange name. There's this mythological mix-up revolving around the name Daphne. So the name Daphne, as well as being a first name for people, is also the name of a type of plant. And this shouldn't come as being too shocking, I suppose. There are so many first names that come from plants like rose and holly and poppy, all that kind of stuff. It's not a big, exciting thing for something to be named for a name to come from a plant. It's kind of normal. We have it all the time. Though what's confusing is that when you check the meaning of this name, the name Daphne means laurel. So not only is laurel a first name unto itself, but laurel is also the name of a type of plant. And here is where that big mix-up comes from. Laurel plant and Daphne plant are two completely different things. They're not the same thing at all. Like a laurel is like this more leafy tree bush thing, and a Daphne plant is more like a pretty berry, colourful bush. So why did Daphne end up meaning laurel, despite the fact that a laurel and a Daphne are two completely different things? Well, if you hadn't guessed from the title of this video, as well as what I said a few minutes ago, there's a mythological story behind this, and yeah, I've got a cup of tea now, tea's good. The name Daphne, before being a given name for humans or even being a plant name, it was the name of a nymph. If you don't know what a nymph is like a little magical creature from Greek mythology. They may appear in other mythologies as well, but in this case it's Greek. Yeah, this is Greek. I forgot to mention Daphne is literally the Greek form of the name Laurel. Like if you put into Google Translate Laurel into Greek, Daphne should come up, or maybe just ancient Greek. I don't know. I didn't do that myself. It's interactive. You go do that and let me know down in the comments below. I'm tired. This nymph of Daphne resided in the river Ladon, and she was highly sought after and desired by the god Apollo. However, she didn't exactly return those feelings. She wasn't as keen on Apollo as Apollo was on her, so she kept on running away from him, like, get away, I'm not interested in you. And Apollo was being a big old incel, being like, no, I must have you, we need to be together. Like, you know, calm down, gods. If a woman isn't interested in you, cut your losses. She's not playing like, I don't know if I'm talking to the gods now or just people watching this video. If a girl says she isn't interested in you, just walk away. Be like, okay, you can't change her mind. Like, don't be a creep, basically. Advice from Name Explain about how not to be an incel. Strange. This is where we are now. So, to try and stop the incel of Apollo pining for her, she prayed to the goddess Gaia. She was like, Gaia, please stop this big creep pursuing me. Just tell him I'm not interested or do something. Just stop this from happening. And Gaia did do something. Gaia turned Daphne into a laurel bush. See where this is going. Now, don't get me wrong, the Greek gods fancied pretty much anything, would have a go on pretty much anything, especially Zeus. The things he got intimate with stretch far and wide beyond the human or even animal kingdom. But this was a limit for Apollo. Apollo didn't fancy this laurel tree, laurel bush anymore, laurel plant. He was like, that ain't for me, I'm afraid. However, he did still care for it. He actually took the plant the nymph of Daphne turned into and sort of used it as his own sacred plant. That sort of became his symbol, the laurel tree that was formerly Daphne, became his symbol, but I don't think he slept with it. Probably did. They slept with a lot of things in ancient Greece, especially those gods. The myths are weird. Very, very, very strange stories, but kind of fun in their own strange way. Great to sort of look into and explain. Like, they help us understand how people of the past explained the world around them before they had sort of science and technology to understand it. So it might seem silly, but they have their place. But this explains to us how that name of Daphne got linked with the laurel tree. And then many more years down the line, the name of Daphne got linked with a different kind of bush altogether, a bush that was more recently cultivated. And it got named Daphne, which means a laurel, despite the fact that this Daphne bush wasn't related to laurel trees in any capacity. And that's how we ended up with this sort of mythological mix-up that this whole video is based about. Was it a bit of a tenuous link? Yeah, but I couldn't really figure out another more interesting way to talk about the name Daphne, I'm afraid. So, stuck with this video. And as to why this bush got the name Daphne, I presume it was because it was all pretty and colourful like that nymph of Daphne from Greek mythology. And then, like we've seen with so many other different trees and bushes and plants and flowers, that name of Daphne for the plant got given to humans, and Daphne became the given name it is today. So, just to recap, a nymph called Daphne became a laurel tree. This led to the name Daphne and laurel both being linked with the same plant. Then a completely different plant got named a Daphne, and then it became a first name. Like I said, a bit confusing, but blame the ancient Greeks. It's their problem we've got this mess. Daphne is the 228th most popular girl's name in the USA, and I was quite surprised to see this. And it's not only is it fairly popular, it's also on the rise. Daphne is becoming really popular at the moment, so don't be surprised to see Daphne shooting up down the line. And here in the UK, Daphne is the 234th most popular girl's name, so a little kind of similar popularity here. Probably going back up as well, time will tell. It's strange, when I think of famous Daphnes, two famous fictional Daphnes come to mind for me, that being Daphne Blake of Scooby-Doo fame, and of course Daphne Moon from Frasier. Are there any real famous Daphnes? There are apparently quite a few, none of them came to mind for me, so the one I'm covering here is someone I hadn't heard of before, but there's a Cameroonian singer just called Daphne. So there are real famous Daphnes out there, and with how popular this name is at the moment, I'm sure 10, 20 years down the line, there'll be a lot more famous Daphnes. But that's just about everything you guys need to know about the name Daphne. But what are your thoughts on this name? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Do you know anyone with the name Daphne? Are you called Daphne yourself? Let me know down in the comments below. And of course, I just want to share some of the thoughts that you guys had on last week's name of Kenneth. Superpower Geek said, Ken is also a Japanese name, Ken Watanabe being perhaps the most famous example. I've also heard it being shortened from Kenichi and similar names. The name could have different meanings. In Ken Watanabe's case, it means humility. The word Ken also means sword in Japanese, so that's super interesting. Thank you so much for sharing that, Superpower Geek. Yes, Ken is also a Japanese name. It does most likely have a different meaning. There's only so many sounds like the human throat can make, so it's not surprising to see like names reappear across different languages. I think we talked about this with Naomi as well. Naomi's a Jewish name but also a Japanese name, so that's another fun example of that. Japanese names, go suggest some Japanese names maybe down below. We'll look into one of those next week. Actually, I've kind of got other plans for next week, so do that. Maybe Japanese 2 weeks time. Not this week. Astrophile07 said, he's born from fire, he's literally hot. Yes, that is exactly the case here. Both those two meanings of the name Kenneth, meaning born from fire, and handsome, both linked together because fire is hot, and being hot means you're handsome. That's a weird sound. God, I'm definitely not born from fire, am I? I guess. Can't even wink correctly. Weird times. And David Webb said, this means the wrestler Ken Kennedy / Mr. Kennedy's name means handsome, ugly head. Yes, it does. Great pro wrestling reference there, Mr. Kennedy. Kennedy, yeah, so his name was Ken Kennedy. I think he's called Mr. Anderson now. But yeah, those names are kind of juxtaposition of one another. I'm sure he didn't think about that when he got his name or whoever gave him that name. But yes, Ken Kennedy means handsome, but ugly. Very strange. Go suggest some names down in the comments below and I'll pick 3 of those to put into a poll exclusively for my patrons to vote on. And then the winning name from that poll will be covered in the next Fun with First Names video. And guys, the next Fun with First Names video is obviously next Monday, which is going to be Halloween Day. Go suggest some spooky names. Ignore my suggestion of Japanese names. Go suggest some spooky names. Names relating to Halloween in some capacity. Names of famous sort of spooky horror characters. Names of sort of Halloween mythology. Just go suggest some down below. If you're going to say Jack because of Jack-o'-lantern, I've kind of already done that, I'm afraid, in a previous video, so I probably wouldn't pick that. But otherwise, it's fair game. If you have some spooky names, go suggest them down below. Then the following week we'll do some Japanese names. I'm going to start doing this more often and tell you guys to suggest specific names because I want to mix things up here and like inspire you guys to inspire me. That was really cheesy. Go suggest them down below. And of course, if you want to vote in that poll, patreon.com/NameExplain. I've said this drill more than enough now. Go check it out if you want to. If you can donate even just $1 a month, that helps in a huge way. NameExplain depends on Patreon now more than ever. So I'm really hoping you guys out there enjoy NameExplain enough to want to donate £1 or $1. Probably $1 because that's worth more than £1 these days. So if you can and if you want to, that would be swell. Thank you. No worries if you can't. But anyway, that's more than enough for myself. Don't forget to go follow me on Instagram, my NameExplainYT, and don't forget to go join the Facebook group Friends of NameExplain, where you can chat with myself and many other name nerds. Okay guys, take care. Anyway, let's get on. You're recording, we're recording. Daphne, let's go. Kaipop plant. Kaipop plant? I forget what I'm doing, I'm tired. I have some tea as well. The name Daphne before being the name of a... The name Daphne before being a giving name... Giving name? We got this. The nymph of Daphne? And years down the line, is that a phrase, years down the line? Recording? Yeah.